Welcome to How's Your ePresence? This show is produced by ePresence, and I am Mark Galvin, your host. We are so glad you are here today. We are in the middle of winter. As a matter of fact, I think the winter solstice, checking my calendar, was yesterday. No, it's tonight. It's tonight at 10:58. So we're officially going through. We just got past the longest night of the year. For those of you who are listening to the podcast, this is ancient history because you're probably hearing us in February, but it's always fun to see the turning of the world, so to speak, right? I had a long conversation with my kids about what the winter solstice means. Here's what's interesting. You would think that this is the middle of winter, but no, winter solstice actually marks the beginning of winter, even though the days are now getting longer and the nights are getting shorter. We are a place where we talk about digital marketing. We talk about marketing. We talk about even business tactics that can help you do something a little better. How's Your ePresence is always interested in helping you do something a little better that will help you be more successful in business. And typically, we're always focused on the marketing space. And today is no different. We have an unbelievable guest with us today. But before I get there, let's talk about some of the shows we've done recently. We did a show earlier today where I did a highlight on 2022. What is going to happen next year? What are you looking at in digital marketing? How will social media change in 22? And there are going to be some big changes. Regrettably, our show's only 30 minutes long. If I had had an hour to an hour and a half, I think I would have gotten through all of the notes that I had for that show. I had multiple pages of stuff. So there's lots of changes that we can expect coming up in 22. We also recently spoke to Liz Wilcox of Liz Wilcox LLC on how to transition from blogging to email marketing. She has her own email marketing firm and is absolutely terrific. We also recently spoke to Howie Zales of Veridity Entertainment Services. He's absolutely fantastic, and he was talking about how to conduct profitable live events. And one more quick shout out to Catherine Smith of Walton Birch. She's absolutely brilliant. She got into how to run an e-commerce shop, and we know there's a lot of you that are interested in running e-commerce ventures. You should go back and check that out. She is absolutely brilliant, and she can, in fact, help you with that if you need help. All of our shows are live, and we are running them live on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So hopefully you can join us on or are joining us on one of those. We're always running our shows live on either Tuesdays or Thursday. Here we are Tuesday. We're doing an outlier. We have a 3:00 show here on Tuesday. We don't normally do a 3:00 show on Tuesday, but we have a West Coast guest that we really wanted to find a slot for. So we're pushing a show here to 3:00 on Tuesday to get him on here. You'll see why in just a minute. If you are tuning in live on one of those channels out there, shoot us a question. If anything comes up today, we'd love for you to join us. There it is right there. Thank you, Morgan, for putting that on the screen. Morgan is our producer, running everything in the background. We love what the work that she does. But send us a question. We would love for you to participate in today's talk. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about digital marketing and building your business. So you need to stick around for this. Figure out, this is the guest today knows all about all of these aspects, and we'll show you a little bit more about him in a little bit. But how do you use digital marketing to build your business? If you are here, we'd love for you to subscribe, hit that subscribe button or follow button there on the channel that you are on. That way you get notified when we go live. All right, let me tell you about today's guest. He is James Hipkin with Red8 Interactive. He is an ex-digital marketing executive who has worked with humongous clients. And I'm not going to name them. I'll let him name them. They're in my head, but I don't want to probably maybe let the cat out of the bag if I'm not supposed to. But whatever the case is, you have products that you're using today. Those products have probably been advertised through one of James's past organizations, as he was an ad agency executive and helped a lot of these large clients find their customers. He is an expert on websites and online marketing. He has an uncanny ability to make all of this stuff that's very confusing simple. Make it put it in a frame or describe it in a way that makes total sense, that allows us pedestrians in the marketing world to understand that a little better. And he's also written a book, and we'll be able to hear more about his book in just a little bit. So we're looking forward to seeing James in a second. He's also got an interesting history with music. It sounds like he toured with Rush. Isn't that cool? Hopefully I didn't date him too much there, and the Police for that matter. So this is someone who's had great experience. Reminder, if you have a question, just please ask those questions, and we will throw them at James and see if we can stump him. All right, I think I've talked enough about stuff going on. Let's see if we can find James out there and bring him to the screen. James, welcome.
Mark, it's an absolute pleasure to be here.
I am so glad you are here. We have had lots of conversations. We connected. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to remember who connected us. Oh, shoot. He's going to kill me. The Irishman.
The Irishman.
Mr.
Tim.
Fitzpatrick. Yeah,
Tim.
He connected us. Yeah.
Yes.
So Tim is a great, another marketer sitting out in the Colorado area, and thought that you and I should connect. Tell me a little bit about Rush. You said you traveled with Rush, right? What was that like to travel with such a, such a internationally known act?
Well, perception is not always reality. They're very smart guys, very organized, very disciplined about what they do. They took it very seriously. They worked very hard.
Wow.
And
Good.
they were just a pleasure to work with. They were down to earth, sensible, smart. They were one of the bringing this to business for a second, they were one of the first bands to vertically integrate.
Ooh, okay. Define vertical integration.
Well, typically with musicians, the record company owns the publishing, and somebody else owns the sound and lights, and somebody else owns the record company. And Rush vertically integrated from the beginning. They owned their own record company, their own publishing, they owned their own sound and lights, they owned their own equipment, their trucks. And then when they weren't using it for their own, they would rent it out to other bands.
That's brilliant. They were business people.
They were very smart
right?
people.
Yeah, very, very smart. Taylor Swift did something, I think it was this year. She went through and re-recorded all of her music so that she would own it. So, she's a smart business person too when it comes to music, and did that so she could own her own music, because evidently she didn't own her early stuff. I think that's really interesting.
That happens to a lot of young artists.
Yeah, absolutely fascinating. And you could hear a little difference in the music, but honestly, if I don't know her that well, you could probably put the two pieces beside each other, the old and the new, and I wouldn't have been able to pick up on it. Well, let's talk about digital marketing. And actually marketing in general. You have such unbelievably great experience. You ran a few ad agencies, even based in the San Francisco Bay Area. Is that right?
That's right. I was recruited out of Chicago to be president of originally it was a direct marketing agency that we converted to digital, because we felt there was more future in that. And it was in that situation I got an opportunity to work with, for example, the folks at Apple. Our team was on the launch of the original iPod.
Oh, wow.
We also worked with Wells Fargo on the launch of the original Wells Fargo online bank.
Jeez. See, guys, I told you he worked with some major brands. Yeah, this is cool.
Nestle and, Visa was another significant client.
Did you just say Nestle?
Nestle.
Is that how they're supposed to pronounce? Is that how I'm supposed to pronounce their name?
Well, it's French, so and coming from Canada the way I do, I've got some.
You have a little French, it's
influence.
It's kind of baked in your DNA, right?
Didn't learn it as well as I should have, but
yeah. Well, here's one for you. Everybody calls that hotel company Marriott incorrectly. The name is actually Marriott. Like you
Yep.
get married to it. Marriott is how they pronounce it.
Yep.
We all have the name wrong. Well, this is really cool. And the reason I wanted you to bring that up is not to be braggadocious, but for you to share you've got some tremendous experience. And I think that provides the ability for you to be an authority in this space that, well, just some others may not be, not to question their abilities. You you and I spoke originally about how business owners should they should use digital marketing. I think we all know this. They should use digital marketing to build their business. But the problem is how, right?
Right.
What is it that I should do to build my business on digital marketing? So this is kind of like this is so broad. We only have 30 minutes. So let's
Right.
dig into this, right? How can business owners actually use that space to build their business?
Well, there's two simple things that everybody will nod their head when I say this, but frequently it gets overlooked.
Huh.
Yeah.
It's a little daunting, right? That's part of it, right?
Well, that's
Overlooked.
part of it, and that's the second thing
Yeah.
I'm gonna go into. The first thing is, and with deepest apologies, it's not about you. Who is your target audience? Who are your
Mhm.
best customers? What is the problem that they're trying to solve? And where are they in terms of the digital landscape? If you have an
So,
audience that's over 40, chances are they're not on Instagram or TikTok,
yeah, very good.
you know? So
How
it's
do how
about
do you
where
suggest
they
people
are.
yeah, how do you what are some methodologies that you think people could use if they don't know the answer to this?
Well, we have a 3-step simple planning process that we encourage business owners, and it starts with the customer. And a
Okay.
concept that you probably have heard of, Mark, the customer avatar.
Mhm.
The customer avatar has 4 quadrants. There's the demographics, physically who they are. That helps with media and understanding how to reach them. There's the behavior, the psychographics. What are their attitudes? What are their beliefs? How do they go about life? And then there's the pain. What is the problem that they're trying to solve? And
Yeah.
then the 4th
Yeah.
quadrant is the gain. How can
Hmm.
your product or service solve their problem? And when you put it down in black and white and you really think it through, taking this outside in approach from the
Yep.
customer and how they look back in on your products and services, it opens up a different perspective. And it's very important and very powerful. And then with that information, it's a lot easier to determine where they're likely to be found. The demographics really help you choose which media, because all the media folks publish their demographics. And then
So, are
go ahead.
you saying that that even though I love Instagram, like you know who my
Mhm,
target is.
mhm,
My target I'm focused on business people who want help on social media.
right.
Um should I jump all over Instagram?
You're the expert, but
Maybe.
I wouldn't.
This is part of the process, right?
Yep,
So the demographics, and I can pull that, right? There's
yep,
lots of data that shows where people are. A
exactly.
segment of my population may be there.
Right,
Um, and the psychographics will probably define whether they're there or not.
right. Well,
So
and they
those kind
also
of
help you with the
go with each other.
messaging and how to present what it is you're doing, because you don't want to do something that they just won't see because they look at it and go, well, that's not for me.
Right.
Um, and that brings
So
us to the
interesting.
second big thing, which is the proliferation. You've probably seen those charts that show you all of the different things that you can do, and it's overwhelming. And
Yeah.
there's a tendency to fall into the next shiny thing syndrome, and that's a big risk. You really need to be disciplined and focus in on who your target audience is, where they are, and concentrate on those channels.
That makes good sense.
Don't
And you
try to
know what?
boil the ocean. Concentrate on
It's
the few channels where you know there's a concentration of your audience and do it really well.
I love that. The challenge I think is that you you're working in a channel and it doesn't seem to be working, and so you decide that it may be worthwhile to jump back in another channel or try something else. What do you suggest someone or a business owner do before they start making that change? Should they wait amount of time? Should they have a strategy? Should they switch marketers? What do you suggest in that case?
Well, the customer avatar helps a lot. The other thing to keep in mind is, and the second step in our three-step planning process is map out the customer journey.
Okay.
Sometimes it's not working because you're getting the wrong message to the right customer at the wrong time.
Hmm.
You want to get the right message to the right customer at the right time. And in order to do that, you need to really think through and map out their journey. Customers, I mean, generally you're not even on their radar. Your product or service may be very important to you, but it's not even a dot in their horizon
Right. Right.
because they don't have an immediate need. When they start to have an immediate need, then their interest rises. It looks like a bell curve. As they climb up the side of the bell curve, they're moving into consideration, they're moving into prospecting. And then when they finally purchase, it's the top of the bell curve. Their interest doesn't go away at that point. They're
Mhm.
still very
Mhm.
involved and engaged. That's a great time to start building a relationship. So that process of the curve that people go through in terms of their interest and understanding that journey helps you craft the right messaging to engage people where they're at.
Right.
And that's another step that gets missed frequently.
Sure.
I mean, I remember when we were working with Sprint Long Distance, we mapped out all of the communication. We did literally put it up on a boardroom wall, and we had the senior marketing executives into the agency, and we showed them all this information. And the creative director was standing there, and she said to them, "Okay, folks, do you see where the problem is?" And they all looked at this and well, we don't see a problem. It all looks good. It's very consistent. Everything's very consistent. And she took a big piece of tape and she put a piece of tape up across the creative at a specific spot. And she said, the information to the left of this piece of tape is our prospecting information, where we're trying to sell people. All of the communication to the right of the tape is our customer communications, where we're talking to our existing customers. We're using the same tone of voice and the same messaging in both
Oh,
places.
interesting. She's brilliant.
Oh yeah, it was big insight.
Yeah.
And she said, we need to talk to our customers like they have a relationship with us, because they do.
Wow. Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh yeah,
I really love
it
that.
made a profound difference to
Yeah.
what we were doing. We
Oh, I
literally
love that.
split the copywriters in the creative department into two groups, one that was focused on prospecting and one that was focused on customer communication. And
Mm,
the results that came out of that, it was a more complex program than just that, but we were dealing with 20% revenue growth on a $2 billion base of business year over
jeez.
year for
Right.
successive years, by focusing in on best customers, knowing their journey, knowing what their needs were.
Oh, that's so cool. I would love to sit down and talk more about this because I'm really fascinated. And if you and I were just talking on the phone, I would tease that out more. Because of time, I want to ask you something else
Sure.
that is part of your, well, it is really what you do so well. And you call it the hub and spoke strategy. I'd
Yes.
love to hear more about that. Share with us what that all means.
Well, this builds from the point we were making before about the plethora of choices that a business owner has, particularly in the online digital marketing space.
Right.
The reality is you need to focus in on a few things. And if you think about the sort of the metaphor that I'm using here, I'm going to bring up a visual aid for a second. We've got a bunch of bicycle spokes, right?
Yep.
Those are nice,
They're
and we have a
it's
hub.
amazing that you have bicycle spokes on your desktop.
Well,
I love that.
preparation, and we have a hub, right?
Yep.
And they're nice, but they don't have much value. You start connecting them together with a rim, and you have the wheel, one of the most fundamental inventions in the evolution of mankind.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to think about your online marketing in the same way. The website is the hub. Everything goes into and out of the website. The spokes are your digital marketing strategy, your tactics, your channels that you're using to communicate with your audience. And then the rim is the content and messaging strategy. This is what you're saying to your audience and how you're saying it. When you make those connections, that's where the power is. The power is not from the individual tactics. The power is not from the website. The power is not from having a content strategy. The power comes from connecting the pieces together.
All of it.
All of it.
Interesting. So website's the hub, so the middle.
Right.
And then the rim is your content messaging and strategy. And each spoke is a different, I call them tactics. Is that what you would refer to each of those?
Exactly. Some of
spokes?
them are tactics, some of them are channels. For example, SEO,
Okay.
organic social media, paid social media, email marketing.
Yeah.
These are all different choices that you have within the digital marketing landscape. And, like the spokes that I was showing before, right? They're nice,
Right.
but individually, they don't have much
They're
value.
worthless.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's not going to help you ride your bike around the corner.
Right.
Not that you're riding bikes where you live right now, but
No, it's a little
yeah.
snowy. But and when am in a public speaking situation and I have a room full of small business owners and I'll literally have these props and I'll talk to them about this, the light bulbs go off. Oh, and a
Mhm.
common question I get is, I don't need a website. I have a Facebook page.
Well,
Right?
so here's a question.
Yeah.
Can your Facebook page be your website?
It can be, but it shouldn't be.
Ah, good. I like that.
Right.
There are some. I have made the suggestion. If I am wrong, shoot me down. I don't. This is this is a really good example. I've had people who called me and they said, "I don't know what I should do on my website, but I'm ready to open my doors.
Right.
Can I use a Facebook page to start off?" And I say, "Yes, but you need to have plans to get a website up."
Right.
So if you're going to do, say, 90 days and use Facebook as your website to start off with, fine. That's okay. You got to get a website in the immediate term. But yeah, if you're ready to go and regrettably, and you and I both know this, we're also talking about a business person who hasn't really thought things through
Right.
without thinking about a website first before they open their doors. But it certainly is not, it will work, but it is not a permanent solution. What do you think about that?
Right. A couple things. First of all, the most important thing a business owner should do if they're just starting out is get some customers.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And if a Facebook page helps you get there to start, that's fine. But as you said, you need to have a strategy. The biggest problem with Facebook and Instagram and a lot of these channels, it's rented space.
Ah, this is such a good point.
They can change the rules, and they do
Mhm.
at any time at their whim. And they don't call you up and consult with you when they decide to do these things.
Dagnabbit.
Yeah, really.
They're supposed to do that.
No, they're not. At least not from their point of view. And you want to
Right.
be very careful about building your business on rented land.
Uh-huh.
The
That's such a
website,
good point.
and even more important, the website is because you own it, and it becomes the driver of your messaging and the place where people can go for information. the online genie is not going back in the bottle. If the pandemic has done anything positive, it's accelerate the speed with which people are getting comfortable getting their information and doing their shopping online.
Yeah, rock on.
And
That totally
even a
there.
brick and mortar, I have this conversation frequently with brick and mortar folks. They're like, well, my store is my website. My store is my hub.
Mm.
And I'm like, actually, no, your store is a spoke.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? It's a vehicle by which they can deliver their goods.
Right. And it's a vehicle where they can send people back to the website to register for their newsletter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another thing that you can own, which is another tactic, which is it's old. It's not as old as me, but it has been around for a long time. Email
You're
marketing.
not old.
I've
Come on.
celebrated a few anniversaries of my 49th birthday. Email marketing is still to this day a very effective way to get your messaging out to your customers, and you own your list.
And that is such an important thing to constantly reinforce. And that is that you do own your email list.
Yes.
So I got a lot of connections on LinkedIn. If LinkedIn decides that it no longer wants us to be connected to people, I can't do anything about that.
Well, another example, I mean, when Facebook and LinkedIn and a lot of them were just starting out, LinkedIn isn't as bad as Facebook is, but you could reach, if you had 3, 4, 5,000 people following your page and you posted something organically, that post would go out to 3, 4, 5,000 people.
Right.
Not anymore.
Exactly.
You're lucky if that post hits 10% of the people who are actually following your page.
10%
because Facebook wants you to
so
pay
startling.
them to push that content out.
That's such a great point. And if you're watching this, you got to know this, that if you have a company page on Facebook, speaking of using Facebook as your company site, you're not going to reach as many people because Facebook wants you to pay for that. The organic reach on LinkedIn is still pretty good, but the company pages on LinkedIn are not great for reaching people.
Right.
It's still through the individual profile, but you can reach people, but it's still through an individual profile.
Right.
I just think that is absolutely brilliant. If there's one thing that you tell new business people when they call you, and I'm sure this happens to you, you've got friends who decided to go off on their own. There's a lot of 40 somethings that decide to start a company and they call you and they say, James, what do you think I need to do? I've got my website up and running, right? Website's done. What's the next thing that you think I should look at now that I got my website up and running?
Well, like I said before, I think I wouldn't do the website first. I would get some customers first.
Okay.
You need to understand who it is you're marketing to, because you can, I'm the proud owner of a pets.com sock puppet. Ultimately their business model was correct, but they were way ahead of their time. And because they didn't understand their customers. One of the things that we did, I was running the digital group at an agency, and one of our clients was Toyota in Northern California. And we were charged with relaunching the Prius.
Wow.
Okay. The rest of the country relaunched the Prius. That's when it went to that sort of teardrop shape.
Yeah.
The rest of the country launched it on the sort of tree hugger premise. It's good for the environment because it's a hybrid.
Sure.
We didn't do that. We spent a lot of time thinking about who the target audience really was for this car and what was their problem. What were they trying to solve?
And what was that?
Well, they needed an economical second family car. So we marketed the Prius as an economical car, as an economical family car, because it was a hybrid.
which I think is brilliant. It's honestly, it's the reason I would buy it today.
Right. Well, we
Uh,
sold more Priuses in Northern California than the rest of the country combined
because you hit that mark.
because we understood, we went after, and I'm not taking credit for this. This wasn't my idea. Was working on it at the time, but the creative
Right.
director drove this strategy against much resistance, I might add.
Hmm.
And it made a huge difference because we were speaking to the real audience. So that's the place where any business, if you're starting out, understand what your audience is looking for and be prepared to pivot, to be flexible, to adjust what you're doing
Yep.
to match
Yep.
what the audience needs.
Interesting.
If
Oh,
you
I
can
think,
do
and
that,
it
you're much
sounds,
more likely to be successful.
yeah, and it all sounds so easy, right? And the best reason to get customers is you now have a control group. You can say, why are you buying from me? What is
Mhm.
it that I do that makes you buy?
Right,
Putting a Prius in a bunch of hands, so to speak, they could have said, I like this because
right,
it's economical.
right.
Well, James, we are out of time. 30 minutes is I think in 22, maybe we turns our shows into an hour and a half. No, I'm just kidding, Morgan. I won't do that to you. She'll end up running away. Um, this has been fantastic, James. I so appreciate you joining us here today. Where do you want people to go to find out more about you?
Well, you can go to innately.com. This is a product that we've developed that's specifically for business owners. So
Great.
that's what I would suggest. If you're a six-figure business striving to be a seven-figure business, and if you want your online marketing to get you there, then and you've liked what I've said, then embrace the hub and spoke strategy and see for yourself the power of connection.
Oh, that's
We have
terrific.
a URL that where you can get the ebook about the hub and spoke strategy. Go to hubandspoke.marketing, where you can download our free ebook. It's called Journey to Success: Digital Marketing for Small Business Owners.
Oh,
If you read
terrific.
it, you'll see how John learned to connect the RIM, his content, and his tactics, the spokes, to his website, the hub. And you'll see
Hmm.
how John used the hub and spoke strategy to maximize the impact of his digital marketing. It's written in a story novel type format, so it's not
Yep.
dry. Um,
Good.
Let me repeat the address: hubandspoke.marketing to download the free ebook. And
Fantastic.
finally, if you're tired of fighting with your website, if you're frustrated with working with fly by night web dev, go to vipchatwithjames.com to schedule a call.
Great.
Now's the time to take advantage of all the changes that are going on in the online space.
Awesome. All right. Repeat that. VIP.
vipchatwithjames.com.
All right. That's
And
great.
you can book a one-on-one meeting with me.
That is terrific. So, folks, you know what we do. We'll drop all of this information in the chat box or in the show notes, I should say. So you can track him down. James also has a few social media sites that he's on. We will share all of those links. James, thank you for joining us today. This was a content rich kind of show. So, folks, if you are just joining in or watching the end of this, you got to go back and join us at the top of the show. James walked through so many very important things. You could take today's show, share it with your team, and develop a marketing strategy for most of next year just based on his content, as well as just go grab that book. You grab the book, everybody read that, and your team is probably going to be 10 times better off. But don't forget this. You should not be doing your website on your own. You need to get a professional to do that for you. You could definitely reach out to James and his team, and he can help you with that as well. James, thank you so much for joining us here at the end of the year. You're our last show of 22. I
Oh,
am.
wow.
We have, we worked so hard to get to the top of this hill, and you are the pinnacle of the hill. So great timing. Well done.
Mark, it's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed making my small contributions to how is your e-presence.
I love it. Well, thank you for being here. Hang out. We'll talk to you a little bit after the show, but thanks for being here. We appreciate you. For the rest of you folks, thank you for being here. You know, we're always trying to find people like James to join us on the show so they can help you with something, so they can help you achieve something a little better on your social media, on your digital marketing. This was the kind of show, this was a study. I bet this is the kind of content that you'd go to college to pick up into in a whole semester. So I'm so glad that James was with us today to help us with that. How's Your ePresence is produced by ePresence. We're a full service social media agency, which means that we can help you get onto your social media spoke. We can help you with your personal page, with your company page. We can help you with the ad spoke. We can help you with the organic reach spoke. We'll help you with all of those spaces. We also have consulting sessions where we'll sit down with you and help you make your social media better, as well as train your staff on how they can use LinkedIn to reach new clients potentially. So if you're interested in any of that, we offer all of our viewers a discount of 5% if you go to the URL right there on the screen, e-pr.me/listener. And that's e-pr, which is short for ePresence, e-pr.me/listener. Go there. You can get a 5% discount on all of our services. ePresence is everywhere. So you know now that we're on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. Find us anywhere, wherever you are. Subscribe. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Hit that follow button on the other channels. That way you get notified when we go live. And if you're a podcast listener, go to our website. It is epresence.me/podcast. And you can find all the places that we have our podcasts, as well as listen to some of them right there on that channel. So those are the places that you can find all of our shows. We officially are on Spotify. So you can go to Spotify, listen to Rush, and you'll probably hear James in the background playing one of those instruments. No, not really. But you know that James was probably at one of those sessions, especially one of the live shows. And then flip over and catch our show on the podcast channel there on Spotify. We're constantly dropping content every single week on that podcast channel, so we'd love for you to join us there. For ePresence, our website is epresence.me. That's epresence.me because it's all about you. Go there if you'd like more information on the services that we offer. If you'd like more information about our blog has got great tips and tricks for your digital marketing space. You can go there and find great quality content that can help you. And if you want to reach out to us, you can find us easily there. This show is produced by ePresence. Our producer, writer, and social media extraordinaire is Morgan Wood. Thank you, Morgan, for the work you do for us. Until next time, for my guest, James Hipkin, sorry about that, James, and the entire team at ePresence, we wish you a happy holidays and a wonderful new year. Thanks for being here.